So before we begin, I just want to acknowledge right now, because this is my last back to basics class, so I'll forget if I didn't do it now. I want to welcome to Leeds my wife, Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah has been in Riyadh for the last few months, and I just brought her back yesterday, alhamdulillah. So I have to acknowledge that, because when she was gone from Leeds, I was like a person who was in prison, like a masjoon, who's majnoon. And now that she's come, I feel free. I can scream freedom now. So may Allah Azza wa Jal bless Queen Latifah and put all of her sabr for the dawah and everything and her mawazeen of hasanat. And on behalf of you other brothers who I know you love your wives as well, the way I love my wife, inshallah, I want to tell all of your wives about your unending and undying love for them. May Allah Azza wa Jal keep our hearts close on this deen and keep us on the same page as it relates to giving the tarbiyah for our kids. Second thing, before I forget, because we did the dua of al-qunut, we did the dua of al-qunut today. So second thing that I want to mention before it slips my mind is I was watching the YouTube, and on the YouTube I saw what my eyes couldn't believe in terms of the oppression of the Zionist Yahud, who claim that they are Allah's chosen people, and they claim that they follow Musa and Harun. Salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim. I didn't think they can go any lower in terms of the lack of insaniya, but they went lower. So when he read those ayat, it brought that issue to my mind, the optic of what I saw. I saw that for the past few months, these people have been bulldozing the graveyards of the Muslims of Gaza. And I mean literally destroying the graveyards. So not only are the living, whether they are old people, sheikhs, old women, children, infants, people with special needs, not only are the living under siege and being threatened, but even our dead. Yesterday at the janazah, at the maqbara, you know, as we were telling that brother's family, who were now Muslims, that in our religion everything has been explained to us. When we come for the janazah, we know what to do, we know what not to do. So at the janazah, we go to the janazah, and as Muslims at the janazah, Rasulullah prohibited us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from walking on people's graves. Sometimes he used to take his shoes off and tell the companions, take your shoes off, out of respect for the graves. He said, "La tajlisu ala al-qubur wa la tusallu ilayha." Don't sit on graves, and don't pray towards the grave. You shouldn't pray in the graveyard. So we have respect for dead people. We have respect. They're not even living. The Nabi of Islam told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, kasru adam al-mayt ka kasrihi wa huwa hayy. To break the bone of a person who is dead is just like breaking his bone while he's alive. That's the respect that Islam has. So if in our religion, if there's no reason to do an autopsy, if there's no reason to cut the body up, we shouldn't do it. We should just leave it and wrap the person up and put him in his grave, because his body is an amana, and we shouldn't deface it. But these people, they have no rahmah. Wallahi, even on the program they said, warning, you may see some images that may be disturbing. I see that a lot. And then the images that they showed were Muslim skeletons all over the place, just out, all over the place. And the graves have been destroyed. But the graves of the Yahud and the grave of the Christians, they don't do anything to those graves, just to the graves of the Muslims. So I say that to say that you brothers and you sisters as well, we have a big responsibility in our deen. And that responsibility is to practice this religion correctly. And these things that we have to deal with, like this fitna in Palestine, we are not in a position where we have to reinvent the wheel. Everything has been explained to us. So listen, I want to continue what we started today and make this my last talk for the back to basics. And the reason why I talked about this issue is because it happened with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That when he knew he was going to die, and there were a lot of signs that he was going to die, he would address the community and they can tell he was talking in a way that something was up, because he knew he was getting signs that he was going to die. And one of the special characteristics of the prophets and the messengers is that Allah Ta'ala sends an angel to them and they inform them that your death is pretty close. Make sure that the message is going to be taken care of, and so forth and so on. So we wanted to leave for this community in the last message, a message that's really meaningful. And for your information, I went to Florida. When I went to America this time, visited New York, visited New Jersey, I went to Delaware, I went to Florida, spent time with my mother, try to get her to come to be with me in Florida where it's warm, as she's getting old. I gave a lecture in a masjid there, and when I sat to give the lecture, the people were going crazy. The children were running all over the place. It was like a zoo. And you know what I thought? You know what I thought about when I saw that? I thought about Mr. Rahmah when I first came here, how our kids would run around and they were just acting all crazy, but with consistent reminding them, hey, what are you doing? Every week, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? And with the cooperation of the volunteers and the parents and the people who come here, now we get this kind of situation that people have edit. We still have the odd child who I may not know, who still brings the water bottle and he crunches it and it gets in my central nervous system and makes me muta nervous. So hold on to those water bottles. If you want to drink, don't make any sound and noise with those water bottles. So just to recap, before we add on to what we mentioned today, and today our khutbatul Jummah was about how can we get a najat. A najat. I'm going to say that word and you're going to say it. A najat. Good job. Not najasa. A najat. Good job, good job. One more time. A najat. A najat means salvation, to be saved. That's one of those Arabic words that we should know. It means to be saved. That when you die, like our brother died yesterday, may Allah have rahmah upon him. In the years that I've been here, we've lost a few people, but when I heard about the death of Brother Adam, it was kind of shocking, especially hearing what had happened and the way we came to find out about it. But nonetheless, we make rahmah, we make dua on behalf of, for that brother, that Allah Ta'ala makes his grave a spacious grave, and he makes it a rawda from the riyadh of al-Jannah, inshallah. That brother would be here right now. He would have been in Jummah. I always see him at Jummah. He would come to me and talk to me after Jummah. And now, no more. And that's something that we have to understand. We're here today, we're gone tomorrow. Tomorrow will be quicker than many of us think. So just to recap, how do you get najat? The most important issue is you have to be a real Muslim that has the correct understanding of Islam, the right aqidah. You have to know about La ilaha illallah. If you really know about La ilaha illallah, you will find birthday cakes and blowing out candles for your birthday, you will find it repugnant. You wouldn't like the idea of it. Or anything with happy, Merry Christmas and all of that shirk and kufr. La ilaha illallah. The one who comes with La ilaha illallah yawm al-qiyamah, his La ilaha illallah will be put on a scale and it's going to outweigh the bad deeds that he did. Anybody who dies, La ilaha illallah is going to benefit him and her. But La ilaha illallah cannot be something that's just on our tongues. It's like a person who says, I love you, but they're not showing you that they love you. It's just kalam. It's just kalam, that's all. If you really love your mother, then you shouldn't behave the way you're behaving, given that kind of those kinds of problems. So we don't want to be those people who just have lip professing, just lip service. La ilaha illallah has conditions connected to it. All of those conditions have proofs from the Quran and the Sunnah. We have to come to know about them and not just say La ilaha illallah. If you say La ilaha illallah, you have to have ikhlas to that La ilaha illallah. You have to do things if you really believe La ilaha illallah. You have to have yaqeen, no doubt about it. You can't allow a shaitan to come to you and start making wiswas and you start doubting. Is Islam really the truth? You have to have sidq. You have to have the qabul and you have to accept it. You have to have knowledge about it. So that was the first thing that we mentioned. The second thing that we mentioned was the two-prong issue. With La ilaha illallah, you're always going to have Muhammad Rasulullah. If you want a najat, you want to be successful, you have to get on the sunnah. You have to know the sunnah. Some of you young brothers are not aware, but this is the month of Rajab. And in the month of Rajab is one of the 4 holy months. And the Muslims misbehave in this month trying to get close to Allah. And then we look at the drama of what's going on in Palestine, and part of it comes as a result of the religion that the Muslims are upon today. It is not reflective of what the Prophet brought, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in many instances. Like the Jews and the Christians and what they're doing. The Yahud and the Nasara, what they're doing. It's not the religion that their prophets and their messengers brought to them. And with us, the same thing. We are doing a lot of things the way we practice Islam. So this is the month where we have to avoid all of that madness. We have to stick to the Sunnah. Prophet of Islam mentions, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, man amila amalan laysa alayhi amruna fahuwa radd. Anyone who does any deed or action that is not from my religion, it will be rejected. So if you decide with sincerity, because you really want to make tawbah, you decide, I'm going to start fasting and I'm going to fast for 5 days straight to Allah. I won't eat or drink anything. And you made salat in the masjid every day and you felt close to Allah. And you didn't make ghibah like the Imam just read in the ayat. You were really close to Allah. All of what you did during that time is going to be thrown back at you. Because we don't fast like that. We don't do religion like that. We don't do and we don't practice the religion of Islam like that. So that was the second thing. If you want to be successful, then follow the Sunnah. We mentioned to the brothers about Imam Malik, because we have a lot of brothers who are on the Maliki madhab. And as I always said in this masjid, there's nothing wrong in following a madhab, just as long as you're not extreme. And if the madhab goes against the Sunnah or the Sunnah against the madhab or the Quran, then put that part of the madhab to the side. If any imam, any khatib, anybody, if he's doing something that's wrong, don't accept it. Our imam read the Quran today. Had he made a mistake in the salat, we have people who are here. He's going to be corrected. We will never allow a person just to do anything, and we're not going to correct it. We're going to correct it in the best way. So those madhabs, no one has anything that is perfect in terms of following them except one person, and that's Muhammad ibn Abdullah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you guys, this is the thing. I remember when we got this minbar right here. I bet you guys don't even remember the old minbar. There was an old member. You don't even remember it, right? I know the professor will remember. The brother brought the member, and I said, mashallah, look at how that member is shining. So I would get my rag, and on Thursday night or Friday morning, I would wipe that member to keep it shining. And I would say to the people who were with us, that's my member. That's mine. Don't let anybody get on this member. But I didn't mean that in a selfish way. What I meant was that's my responsibility. So today, I cleaned it off for the last time. And I said to those brothers and to the people in the Salah, Jummah, don't let anybody get on this member who's going to call us to that nonsense, man. No one gets on the member and is calling to that nonsense. I was in a masjid where when the queen died, they allowed non-Muslim politicians to come into the masjid, and he was standing on the minbar. That is a big aib. That's a big har on us. We live here, we want to deal with people, but not like that. Not going to let non-Muslim get on the minbar. Not like that. We're going to tell them, stand over here, or something like that. It'll be nice, but the issue is the sunnah. The sunnah are better. The sunnah are better. You guys stay on the sunnah here. Third thing that we mentioned was Tawheed, the sunnah, and following the way of the companions. So downstairs just now, I sat with the little brothers and the young sisters who I was their teacher, and I was telling these little kids that they're the next generation of Muslims who have a responsibility in this masjid. Their responsibility is not like their parents, but nonetheless they have a responsibility that they're going to grow up and be kids who are on the sunnah. Not just Muslims, but kids who belong to a masjid. When people come in and they know the sunnah, they say, man, this masjid is different. Or if the person comes in and he doesn't know the sunnah, but he's seeing something that's different from his local masjid. That's because the people are not following Islam of culture. We're not against anybody's culture, but we want an Islam that resembles what those companions were upon. They are the measurement for what's correct and what's not correct. So for the 3 years that I've been here, we've been banging that drum of these three things. If I die today and never see you people today, and I'm going to tell Queen Latifah as well, stay on the sunnah, man. It's the only religion Allah is going to accept from you, Yawmul Qiyamah. He's not accepting that Mawlid stuff. He's not accepting Yarmi. He's not accepting the Khatam. He's not accepting Salatul Raghaib. He's not accepting this stuff that we've made up for ourselves. I'm going to follow Al-Imam Abu Hanifa in everything that he does. Or this Imam or that. No, it's not going to be accepted. As a matter of fact, the Prophet is going to free himself from people who do that. And he's going to say to those malaika, suhqan, suhqan, get them away. Don't let them drink from this thing. So that was the third thing. The fourth thing was really important as well. If you want a najat, then we have to practice the fara'id of al-Islam. You have to practice this religion. Nobody is perfect, man, but we have to be Muslims who are praying. The Prophet said in that hadith that we did a long time here, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَمَا تَقَرَّبَ عَبْدِي إِلَيَّ بِشَيْءٍ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا افْتَرَضْتُ عَلَيْهِ. There is nothing that the person can do to get close to Allah that Allah loves the most. Allah loves in a way that befits His majesty. The thing that Allah loves the most is when the person is doing what's wajib. He loves it when you do birr walidain. He loves it when you tell the truth. He loves it when you have sabr. He loves it when you say, I'm sorry. If it's wajib, Allah loves it more than anything else. If you go to Umrah every single month 2 or 3 times, Allah loves that. But when you go to Hajj, He loves that more because it's wajib. If you want a najat, you have to do that thing that is wajib. وَيُنَجِّ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا بِمَفَازَتِهِمْ لا يمسهم السوء وهم لا يحزنون. Allah will give najat to the people who have a taqwa. And what is taqwa? Abdullah ibn Abbas said about this ayat, a taqwa in this ayat means that we do what Allah told us to do. That doesn't mean we're not going to make mistakes. Everybody's going to make mistakes. But a najat for the lady who doesn't wear hijab is a problem. And if that lady doesn't wear hijab, as her husband, you are also responsible. We're responsible for our wives and our daughters when they don't wear hijab. Now I know sometimes may Allah help us. There's a tearaway girl. She's getting older and she's becoming a bit difficult. I understand. But even that girl, we have to give a dawah. But I'm talking about those kids and people who are with us who are under our authority, our supervision. So the lady has to wear hijab correctly, correct hijab. And that's something that I felt was an observation in our masjid a while ago. And alhamdulillah, things have gotten better, but still, the hijab is an important element in this religion. We also mentioned the last thing, ikhwani, and that was, if a person wants a najat, you want to be successful, especially during the times of the fitna right now, like right now, this is time of fitna. This is time of fitna. The internet is a problem. The information that's out here, all of these challenges, this is a real tough time. He told that man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you want to be successful, then watch what you say. Get control of your tongue. Don't make ghiba, don't make namima. Don't lie. Don't exaggerate. Watch what you say. The one who was quiet, he said, will have najat. Man samata naja. The less you say, the better it is for you. Because you won't be held accountable for your words. We're going to be accountable for everything that we said. Everything. The angels are writing. Everything. The less you say, the better it is. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his job was to talk and to give people dawah and to educate. And yet, he would spend long periods of time not talking. He said, whoever believes in Allah on the last day, then let him say what is good, or let him be quiet. Let him say what is good, or let him remain quiet. The second thing he mentioned in that hadith was, if you want to have the najat, he says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then stay in your house, which means you have to reduce the amount of mixing that you do with people. The more mixing you do with people, the more you're going to talk. The more mixing that you do with people, the more people will make you forget about Allah Azza wa Jal. Forget about what's really important. That's why I didn't mention this, but one of the ways of having najat is having good friends. Having good friends. Being with people who, when you forget, they'll remind you. And when you do good and you remember, they'll encourage you to do more. So be careful about mixing with people. Be careful about who you mix with. There was a great scholar of al-hadith. His name was al-A'mash. He was a big scholar and an imam of hadith. But they said in his history that he was very antisociable. Antisociable because he didn't like mixing with the people, because just all of the kalam, the way people are. All of the kalam. And knowing that a dog was haram, he got a dog, but it was a guard dog. And he used to leave his vicious dog in front of his house. It's a famous story about the man. And when people would come to get hadith from him, and they would travel to his house from all over the world, they couldn't get into the gate because the dog would go crazy. And then he came to the masjid, and he was looking sad, and they asked him, what happened? What's the matter? He told them, the one who used to make al-amr ma'ruf and al-nahy al-munkar, he died today. Meaning his dog died, and now the people are coming to his house, wasting his time. Did he not want to teach? No, he wanted to teach. He used to teach him in the masjid. But he didn't like that thing about the people, the way the people are. They don't know when to knock. They don't know when to come. They don't know how long to stay. And then when you're together, you don't feel like your iman went up. So that's why he told them, let your house be enough for you. Pay attention to your own aura and what's going on in your own house. Under your very nose, a lot of stuff is going out. And don't be judgmental. Give dawah and encourage people, but don't talk in a condescending way. And then the last thing he mentioned, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to that particular man, is if you want the najat and to get into the Jannah, then what you should do is cry for your own mistakes. Cry for your own mistakes. So those people from the Salaf, with those companions, they knew that they were going to go to the Jannah, and still yet, if you look at their behavior and you look at their existence, they're a group of people who still, they existed between the hope and the fear. The hope that Allah will forgive and the fear that Allah may not forgive. So a few new ones that we want to mention today, and then we're going to let you guys out of here, inshallah. And I think today's program is, you're just going to get the grub and take it home, bi-idhnillah. But a few things I want to mention in addition to that, because a lot of things can be mentioned. And that is, this is important. You want to be successful? You want a najat? You want salvation? Where you come out of the dunya and you go to Jannah? Listen. If you want a najat, one thing that'll help you is, no matter how religious you think you are, no matter how much practicing you think you do. I know people fast every Monday and every Thursday. And when Ramadan comes, Ramadan is not difficult for them, because that's what they do. They fast. I mentioned this before in Nigeria. There's certain things about West Africans, especially like in Nigeria. There's certain people, the way they grow up, you're going to fast. So that person who's fasting all the time, the one who's reading the Quran all the time, the one who's doing whatever he's doing, he's going for Hajj, he's going for Umrah, whatever you are doing, and you're doing it more than others. If you want to have najat, never, ever, ever, ever look at yourself and become impressed with what you're doing. Never do that. Always look at yourself as being miskeen. Don't be down and rough on yourself, and you one of them people walking around saying, Allah hates me, I'm gonna go to, don't be like that. But never, never raise yourself up as if to say, look what I'm doing, how I'm better than everybody else. That will destroy your deeds, and it would also, at the same time, it would also not only destroy your deeds, but it'll put you out of the box of having najat. Why do we say that? Why did the scholars of Islam say that? For many reasons, one of which is the best person in our community is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No one can come close to the ibadah of Rasulullah. No one. He used to read the Quran in Qiyam, and he would read Surah Al-Baqarah, Ali Imran. He would read Surah Al-Nisa, Surah Al-Ma'idah in one Qiyam. And then he would go into ruku' for the amount of time that it took to read all of those ayat and all those surahs. That hadith for me, I believe it, but it's really hard to get my head around someone praying like that. And one of his companions who was from the awliya of Allah, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, who was also told, you're going to be in Jannah. He knew he was going to be in Jannah. And he was one of the companions that was from the ulama of the Quran. He said, I was praying the night prayer with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he read that long. And then he went into ruku', and I was with him in ruku'. And then he came back up, and he stayed that long. Then he went in sajda, and he stayed all the time that it took to read Surah Al-Baqarah, Ali Imran, Surah Al-Nisa, Surah Al-Ma'idah. He did that one, then came back. Just Surah Al-Baqarah, alone. Being in ruku' and sajda for the duration of that one surah, it was 5 surahs. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, when I was in the prayer, I started thinking about an evil thing. The evil thing he was thinking about was getting out of the line. which was permissible for him. So no one's going to have ibadah like that. No one. And although this was the level of the ibadah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to say to Aisha, should I not be a slave who is grateful to Allah? He never looked at the people and tried to big himself up. So no matter what you're doing, and you young brothers, as you're growing up and you're being exposed to the Sunnah, I've been telling you, and one of the things we try to do is, we don't want you to be with hardcore brothers who go too far to the right. I saw some teenagers in our community, we have to reel them in. We have to say, pump your brakes and fall back and slow down, because you're coming too tough for your mother and your father, because you want to practice and so forth and so on. Don't go too far to the right and being rough and tough. So the sister in our community that wears gloves, may Allah give a barakah. She wears a niqab. May Allah give a barakah. You can't see anything from her. We say, may Allah give a barakah. But she shouldn't walk around looking down at other people. Nor should she see herself as being from the people of Jannah because of that situation. Okay, why? Why? They asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam after Rasulullah told them, لا ينجو لن ينجو أحد منكم يوم القيامة من عمله. None of you will be saved, get salvation, Yawm al-Qiyamah, because of your actions and your deeds. None of you are going to go into the Jannah because the amount of actions you did or your deeds. They said, what about you, Ya Rasulullah? He said, even me. I'm not going to be saved because of my actions and my deeds. The way that I'm going to be saved is that Allah Ta'ala will submerge me inside of the Rahmah of Allah, and then he'll go to Jannah. What's his name again? What's this cat's name again? Jahangir. They're going to eat here? Shukran. Where the dates at? There's the ayah, مَا جَعْوَ اللَّهُ لِرَجُلٍ مِّن قَلْبَيْنِ فِي جَوْفِهِ. Allah has never put two hearts in one man's body. I used to always tell people I would tell people we can't eat and have the class at the same time because you can't concentrate. But today is party time. It's party time. So I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna take that back. Hey, listen, I'm gonna let you guys go, inshallah, because they gave me the ishara that everything is ready. I want you brothers and you sisters downstairs continue to stay on the Sunnah in a moderate and a balanced way that's unapologetic. Unapologetic. And still, that thing that I told you many years ago, it still stands. We're always ready to go to the school to deal with anything you children are dealing with. Bullies, a teacher, prevent, whatever it is. You just let us know and we'll deal with it in the way that is best. Umar Abu Abdulaziz is the Imam now after this. We want you brothers to respect him and to cooperate with him. Our brother over there, the Sheikh, the Imam Abu Ahmed, he's still from our A'imma. You guys take care of them and work with each other. All right, we're going to stop here, inshallah. The last thing that I want to mention, though, concerning the Najat, and I think I have to leave you with this last one, and there are many, is that the Prophet made dua, and he told the people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Tuba liman wajada fi sahifatihi istighfaran kathira. May the person go to Jannah. He wants Najat. He said, well, the one who has a lot of istighfar in his book, his sahifa, then this individual will get the Najat. Ya akhi, can you give Abu Ziyad, akhi, give his qahwa, ya akhi? Ma lakum. All right, ikhwani. سنكتفي بهذا القدر سائلين الله عز وجل يوفقنا وإياكم لكل خير. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.